We hope you've enjoyed tonight's super movie.
Hi, I'm Pete Rose, and this is my son, Pete II. It's a tough world out there. Tough on the baseball diamond, tough in business, and tough in school. And I'm here to tell you what I'm doing to help my kids play the game of life and win. The way I look at it, knowledge is power. And the greatest powerhouse of knowledge that I know is my 30-volume set of Encyclopedia Britannica 3. Years ago, I decided I wanted my kids to have the special learning power the editors of Britannica concentrated here. I call it the Britannica Advantage. As far as I'm concerned, Britannica is the big league in encyclopedias. The pennant winner when you want to help your kids get better marks from grade school right through college. Here's knowledge about everything under the sun. Sports and science, countries and continents, space and war. Yes, 30 volumes with colorful illustrations and maps, and written to be understood easily. That's why Britannica 3 is the real powerhouse of knowledge. So if you have kids in school or heading there, you ought to find out about the Britannica Advantage and the book-a-month payment plan that's perfect for parents. All it takes is a phone call. Do it now, and when they answer, say Pete Rose said to call.
Call now and Britannica will send you this colorful illustrated booklet giving you more information on the new Encyclopedia Britannica 3. Call 1-800-453-9000. That's 1-800-453-9000. Remember, the call and the brochure are free. And you'll also receive absolutely free this handsome walnut-finished book rack from our local sales representative when you preview Britannica 3. You'll find it ideal for books you like to have handy and an attractive addition to your home. Call toll-free 1-800-453-9000. That's 1-800-453-9000 to preview Britannica 3. You'll receive the booklet and the book rack absolutely free. Call 1-800-453-9000. That's 1-800-453-9000.
DeSalvo's AMC Jeep Renault, your 1981 Eagle's Nest. Four-wheel drive goes uptown in the Eagle. Wagons, sedans, cambacks, and the sporty SX4. Great color packages, elegant interiors, 4- or 6-cylinder. Another surprise, at DeSalvo's you get Eagle at lowest possible prices with highest possible trade-ins. Let us show you Eagle and a deal you can fly with. DeSalvo's AMC Jeep Renault, South County Eagle's Nest, almost a landmark in St. Louis.
He changed our lives, and then he changed his own. The day Elvis died. We can relive it exactly 4 years later in TV Guide. Here's what happened behind the scenes you saw on TV as the network scrambled for coverage. The day Elvis died. In the new TV Guide magazine. On sale now.
Good evening. The Reagan administration is reportedly working on a proposal that might include a grace period for terminated air traffic controllers that would allow them to return to work while dialogue between the government and the union resumes. Libya did a lot of angry talking today, accusing President Reagan of premeditated terrorism. OPEC oil ministers have ended their Geneva meeting without agreeing on a uniform price for their oil, and that means gasoline prices will probably remain the same for a while anyway. We'll have full details on all the major news stories of the day coming up in a matter of minutes on Newswatch 2 after the super movie. Stay right here with us.
We hope you've enjoyed tonight's super movie. Join us again Monday night when a young mother struggles against demonic forces threatening her family in The Last Bride of Salem. Monday night's 11 o'clock super movie on KPLR TV, Channel 11.
Notice, Rothman Furniture announces an 11-hour store-wide clearance sale. Tomorrow only, everything's up to 62% off. Because we're overstocked, Rothman is forced to take immediate action and liquidate first-quality name-brand furniture with absolutely no regard for our cost. It will be a bargain hunter's paradise on every item in every department. Save up to 62% at the 11-hour store-wide clearance sale. Tomorrow only at Rothman Furniture, all 3 stores.
This is your station for better programming on the Operation Primetime Television Network, KPLR TV, St. Louis.
Now, stay tuned for Newswatch 2 recorded earlier tonight. Any late-breaking news, sports, or weather information will be updated during this newscast.
From KPLR-TV, Channel 11, it's the #1 independent news team in the country with Newswatch.
Good evening. Here's what's happening. There has been what could be a major new development in the now 19-day-old air traffic controller strike. Just hours ago, Labor Secretary Ray Donovan said that President Reagan and his staff have been working on a new proposal to end the walkout. Donovan indicated the government might possibly offer a new grace period to fired controllers that would allow them to return to work. In Washington, a spokesman for the Professional Air Traffic Controllers Organization said that if the administration reopened communications with the union, the dispute could be over in 48 hours. And he said the full system could be going again in 3 days. The striking American controllers may get some support from their counterparts from around the world. The International Air Traffic Controllers Association, representing some 61 countries, have gathered in Amsterdam for a 2-day meeting. The purpose of the session is to decide what action to take in support of their fired comrades. The controllers' walkout continues to have a negative financial impact on the nation's air carriers. Today, Eastern Airlines said it's eliminating 3,000 jobs, primarily because of dwindling revenues caused by the strike. Eastern also said it will cut the salaries of some 1,600 middle management personnel by as much as 9%. In other news, American consumers apparently won't have to worry about higher gasoline prices, at least not for a while anyway. After a record 5 days of haggling, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries have given up in their attempt to unify oil prices in an effort to dry up the current world oil glut. OPEC ministers ended their meeting in Geneva, Switzerland today in disarray, with the specter of a price war threatening to tear the cartel apart. Mark Leff has more from Geneva.
Despite several days of heavy pressure from the other OPEC members, Saudi oil minister Sheikh Ahmed Zaki Yamani was holding firm Friday morning on his refusal to increase the price of Saudi light crude beyond $34 a barrel, $2 more than the going rate. Indications earlier in the week were that Yamani hoped his offer would be enough to bring the higher-priced producers down a bit. Some had indicated a readiness to do that, but most wanted Saudi Arabia to go up to $35 a barrel at least. The meetings have been punctuated by intensive consultations between the ministers and their governments, and a call by OPEC's current chairman, Subrata of Indonesia, for heads of state to discuss the problem directly among themselves. But Iran's oil minister, Mohammad Gharazi, said Friday morning the consultations had accomplished nothing. His statement coincided with a speech in Tehran by the Speaker of Iran's parliament, a speech strongly criticizing the Saudis for increasing their oil put and holding prices down in order to help imperialism. Observers noted that an OPEC meeting of this kind has never lasted more than 4 days in the past, and the fact that ministers were meeting on Friday, the Muslim holy day, indicated the gravity of the situation. The formal meeting quickly broke up to be replaced by smaller consultations as the day went on, but by day's end there was no sign of agreement, and some delegates began heading home.
Over the stiff opposition of Saudi Arabia, the Reagan administration has signed a massive 5-year contract to buy nearly 110 million barrels of Mexican oil. The oil will be used to boost the United States' strategic petroleum reserves. Now, that oil reserve is intended to remove the threat of oil boycotts, but the Saudis and other oil-producing nations are concerned that the United States will use the reserve to drive down the worldwide price of oil. Well, Libya did a lot of angry talking today about that aerial dogfight that left 2 of its jets on the bottom of the Gulf of Sidra. In a strongly worded commentary, the Libyan news agency accused President Reagan of an act of premeditated terrorism by ordering the Navy jets to attack the Libyan planes. President Reagan denies that claim, and he maintains that although he approved the U.S. military maneuvers in the area, the exercises were not meant to intentionally provoke Libya's radical leader, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. President Reagan today wrapped up a week devoted almost exclusively to military matters by meeting with 2 Republican congressional allies. Now, the topic of discussion was the controversial MX missile program. There are major obstacles standing in the way of deployment of the missiles, and reportedly the congressman came up with no solution. Dave Browdy takes a look at what those problems are.
The idea the congressmen don't like is this one: putting the MX missile on a fleet of wide-bodied jets, some of which would be kept on alert in the air at all times. It's technically possible. This test of the concept took place in 1974. According to the Air Force, the test showed that the airborne MX would work, but would be extremely expensive and vulnerable to a surprise attack. The idea the congressmen do like is the so-called shell game concept, putting the missiles in a cluster of silos buried in the Utah-Nevada desert. But the multiple shelter system was developed during the Carter administration, galling enough to top Reagan staffers, and besides, the president promised during his campaign to find somewhere else to put the MX. The problem with that, though, is that most think the MX is necessary, but there's no consensus at all on an acceptable area for the bases. If there's no agreement on how the MX should be based, you might think that another study could be in order. But the Air Force says no to that. They say there are plenty of studies like this one which go through every possible basing variation. And the Air Force says more study simply means more delay. One more thing the Reagan administration promised it wouldn't permit. At the Pentagon, this is Dave Browdy.
Blue Fuse Datsun is slashing prices on every 1981 in stock. So come to Lindbergh and Olive and get the greatest deals on a Blue Fuse Datsun in our history.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom.
Don't worry, call the CarX man.
One thing you don't have to worry about at a CarX muffler shop is the price. People call to see how much it costs and what they get for their money. And you'd be amazed how many of those callers become our customers. Of course, it could be my pleasant telephone boys.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom.
Don't worry, call the CarX man.
Hi, everybody. Bud Bladner from Missouri's Lake of the Ozarks, inviting you to get away to discover the quiet side of the lake. Take the time away from that daily routine to enjoy a quiet holiday at Missouri's Lake of the Ozarks. It's so much, so close to home. For more information, write Lake, Post Office Box 98, Lake Ozark, Missouri, 65049.
The salad crowd can't crowd out the taste of Sealtest cottage cheese. Sealtest has a taste that stands out in a crowd. Taste that stands out in a crowd every time. Because Sealtest cottage cheese is made with pure Sealtest sweet cream for a creamy, good taste that won't run away and hide. Sealtest cottage cheese. Taste that stands out in a crowd.
The Pentagon said today that 3 F-15 fighter jets cleared by the administration for delivery to Israel will take off from St. Louis Saturday morning. The 3 jets will be flown to Pease Air Force Base in New Hampshire, where they will be prepared for their Mideast flight. The F-15s have been held at the McDonnell Douglas Company plant here since President Reagan first embargoed deliveries of warplanes to Israel. That embargo was lifted this week, so the F-15s and 14 of the slightly more sophisticated F-16 fighter jets can now be delivered per contract. With school scheduled to begin in less than 2 weeks, the city of St. Louis is awaiting word on its request that a federal judge order mandatory area-wide school desegregation. And with a teacher strike a possibility, well, conditions could be a bit better. But still, Joe Russo reports school system officials are optimistic about the coming year.
Except for those getting things ready for the upcoming school year and a handful of employees, St. Louis schools are empty. Empty until school starts September 2nd. Superintendent Robert Wentz is positive about this school year, saying it could be the best year in decades. But despite the optimism, a two-sided cloud hangs over the system. One involves a possible teacher's strike. But the teachers' union president is hopeful disputed issues can be resolved.
I know we can, and that's what the union wants. And we're going to continue to make ourselves available and to meet and to work, and hopefully we can have the matters that are still unsettled, which are very, very important to us, that we can have them resolved in time that we can report to school as we're scheduled to do. That's what we really want.
I'm sorry that that type of subject comes up at a time when you're ready to start school, and I'm hopeful that that kind of decision doesn't even have to be considered when they meet. I'm hoping that during the next few days in our discussions, which have been going on now for some 5 or 6 months, that we reach agreement on the critical issue, and the critical issue are dollars, what the salary schedule is going to be.
Another apparent problem is desegregation. Only 4 of suburban St. Louis's 39 school districts agreed to take part in a voluntary desegregation plan, a ratio that's difficult to call successful.
Well, success is always in the eyes of the beholder. Success measured by the number of districts that have said we want to participate is low, and I don't think that surprised very many people. But in any venture, particularly one that has the emotional aura that this has, always starts slow. And the key thing is to get something started, demonstrate that it can work. And for every mile you go, you've got to take the first step, and I would say that this is the first step.
The superintendent hopes that first step leads to others that eventually produce full integration. For Newswatch, I'm Joe Russo.
Talking about going back to school conjures up thoughts of fall, but today was a beautiful summer day, Chris.
Yes, it was summery, but a little fall-like. This is our 5th day of cool temperatures and northerly breezes. In fact, Kansas City International Airport recorded a record low for the 5th day in a row. It was 55 degrees this morning there, believe it or not.
So fall is on the way, huh?
Definitely is on the way. Okay. Let's take a look at the satellite map from earlier today. We can see some shower activity across the country. Storms continued over the northern half of Minnesota and showers from Nevada into eastern Montana. There were scattered showers from Florida into Kentucky, and very cool for us and mostly clear as the day progressed. We have some heavy storms tonight throughout the western plains and parts of North Dakota. All of it is associated with this deep low pressure area and adjacent cool front. It is moving in our direction, but should lose a lot of punch before it reaches us, but it does pose the threat for maybe some showers in the western portions of Missouri by late Sunday night. But for us, we're calling for a mostly clear weekend. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. High pressure is still anchored around the Great Lakes and pushing northerly winds in our direction, but it will start to warm up just slightly. Look for slightly warmer temperatures because as the high starts to move towards the east, the winds will shift to the south, and those southerly winds will boost the temperature up just a bit. But all in all, it's going to be a beautiful weekend. A lot of thunderstorm activity in the southeast corner of the nation today, with 3 inches reported throughout parts of Florida. But Dennis continued to move out into the North Atlantic and lost a lot of its tropical storm characteristics, and it is no longer a hurricane, and it is disintegrating. So that is good news. The nation's low today was 38 degrees, and that was at Bradford, Pennsylvania, and the warmest spot where it's consistently still been summer, 116 degrees at Palm Springs, California. We have clear skies to report with nothing to report in the way of rain anywhere. It's another very pleasant evening. It's going to be another cool one, so you might want to grab an extra blanket again. 73 right now in St. Louis, 76 degrees in downtown Kansas City, and 69 degrees at Chicago. Another beautiful forecast, a beautiful weekend. For tonight, look for the winds out of the east, the low 58 to about 60 degrees. Tomorrow, sunshine, the winds will be out of the east, very light. The high in the 80s, maybe 86 degrees with a low around 58 to 60 again. And then Sunday, a mostly sunny day with the high in the 80s once again. Right now it is 73, the humidity 67%. The winds are out of the northeast at 5 miles per hour, and the barometer is rising. The high today, 84 degrees, and our morning low again, a pleasant 59 degrees.
Very good.
A beautiful weekend forecast.
And Chris will be back a bit later. She's wearing 2 hats tonight. She'll be back during the sports, versatile as she is. We're going to take a break. Newswatch will be back in about 2 minutes. Stay with us.
Thanks.
The secret to financial success? Sound management. Of all S&Ls nationwide, Roosevelt Federal now ranks in the top 3% in size, the top 2% in the secondary mortgage market. In the past 10 years, Roosevelt savings deposits are up 400%. Mortgage loans up 400%. Interest paid to savers up 800%. Sound management is the key. And sound management is why, after 57 years, Roosevelt is still growing strong.
Here it comes, your Chrysler Plymouth dealer's 1981 clearance drive. Now, Chrysler and participating dealers fight high interest rates by contributing $300 to $1,000 cash back, depending on the model. And qualifying dealers have factory incentives that could help you save hundreds more. So drive a bargain on a thrifty Plymouth Horizon with cash back. Or drive off in a Plymouth Reliant K Coupe, sedan, or wagon with cash back.
See one of your 6 Greater St. Louis Chrysler Plymouth dealers and get a $300 to $1,000 cash rebate.
Remember these? I'm Harry Slyman. This is my brother, Bob. You know, we've been in business almost as long as we've been brothers. At Slyman Brothers, we don't have to have Midnight Madness sales or 6-minute sales. Our prices are always low.
Shop Tipton, shop Pat Riley, shop the New Deal. But before you buy...
For top quality appliances, Bob and Harry Slyman won't be undersold. Try it. Sound corny?
You won't think so when you check out Slyman Brothers' everyday low prices on quality GE appliances. Try us. You'll like us.
You're invited to the grand opening of the world's largest flea market at Cahokia Downs in Illinois this Saturday and Sunday, the Cahokia Downs Farmers and Flea Market.
In Northern Ireland today, voters in one of Ulster's border districts elected IRA hunger strike supporter Owen Carron to the British Parliament. Karen will fill the seat left vacant by IRA convict Bobby Sands, who died May 6th after refusing food for 66 days. Karen, who was Bobby Sands' political agent, ran for parliament because the law has been changed so that convicted guerrillas can no longer seek election. Sources say Karen's margin of victory over his Protestant opponent has been seen as a test of Roman Catholic support for the IRA hunger strikers. In communist Poland today, the government went ahead with its decision to raise the price of bread and flour by 400%. A spokesman said the new prices, which are part of the government's economic reform program, will go into effect on September 1st. At the same time, the government added household laundry detergent to the growing list of everyday goods being rationed in Poland. The situation led one Roman Catholic official today to warn that the nation's economic crisis might trigger a bloody confrontation between the ruling Politburo and the Solidarity Labor Union. Well, after being held in custody for almost a year, 17 of some 100 or 1,800 Cuban refugees were released from the Atlanta penitentiary today. The group was granted their freedom under a federal judge's amended release order. That order calls for the release of over 300 more refugees when it's determined that they do not pose a threat to society. We have a report from Atlanta.
The first two Cubans out of the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary on Friday gestured enthusiastically as their comrades still behind the walls shouted out, "Libertado," liberty. Jose Echeverria Gonzalez said he found himself in the Atlanta prison after telling immigration officials last year that he had been imprisoned in Cuba for stealing food for his family. Happy about being released, he said he was well treated in the American prison. 13 Cuban prisoners were scheduled to fly to half a dozen American cities, including Miami and New York. 4 others remained in Atlanta with relatives and friends. The next group of about 20 Cubans is expected to be released next Tuesday. There are still more than 1,800 Cubans behind these gray prison walls hoping for release. The Justice Department has approved freedom for 155 of them and is considering 226 more cases. Lawyers for the Cubans believe that most of these will soon go free. However, there are 1,400 other Cubans that will remain, and they're accused of crimes ranging from multiple theft to murder. The Justice Department has made it clear it does not want to soon release these men into American society.
Here now is the Wall Street Business Report on today's markets and trends. Beleaguered Pan American World Airways put its profitable Intercontinental Hotel division up for sale earlier this week in an effort to raise some much-needed cash. Well, it didn't take long to find a buyer. Today, Pan Am said it's reached agreement with one of Britain's biggest companies, Grand Metropolitan Limited, to buy the hotel division for $500 million. Tom Cassidy has more.
Directors over at Pan American wasting no time accepting $500 million for the Intercontinental Hotel chain. The buyer, Metropolitan Limited of London, Britain's 12th largest corporation, coming up with $500 million in cash for Pan Am's most profitable asset. Airline in trouble, losing $240 million last quarter, so the holding company has to liquidate some of the assets to tighten the balance sheet. Similar story happened last year when Parent had to sell its headquarters building at 200 Park Avenue here in New York. Sale then to Metropolitan Life Insurance brought in $294 million for Pan Am management to use. This time, much more involved, however. Company reportedly ready to spend $163 million of those proceeds to handle current liabilities. Pan Am started the Intercontinental Hotel chain in 1946 with a small hotel in Brazil. 35 years later, a different Pan Am letting a different Intercontinental Hotel chain go for a $500 million corporate dowry. Analysts hoping this is the end of surgery for the flagship's balance sheet.
The General Motors Corporation has recalled nearly 250,000 1980 and 1981 X model cars. They may have potentially dangerous clutch or brake system defects. The recall applies to some models of the Chevrolet Citation, Pontiac Phoenix, Oldsmobile Omega, and Buick Skylark equipped with manual transmissions. Now, owners will be notified by mail to take the car to a dealer for free repairs. And the Ford Motor Company has been hit with a class action suit that could force the automotive giant to recall and repair an estimated 8 million vehicles with automatic transmissions. The suit charges that some Ford models manufactured between the years 1976 and 1979 may slip into reverse when the gear indicator is in park. Now, that determination was made last year by the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, but the NHTSA was overruled by then Transportation Secretary Neil Goldschmidt. So now 100 vehicles owners have taken that matter to court themselves. The Commerce Department reported today that factory orders for durable goods went up 0.9% in July. That's the 6th consecutive monthly increase. At the same time, the government said shipments of durable goods decreased 1.9% in July, the first decline in almost a year and a half. Now, economists closely monitor the pace and direction of durable goods. for clues as to how the economy is doing and where it's going. On the bullion markets today, gold closed the week strong. In London and Zurich, gold gained $1 in per ounce price. In New York, gold gained $3.50, closing at $433 an ounce. Meanwhile, the dollar suffered sharp losses on European markets for the third day in a row. On Wall Street today, there was little good news. Persistently high interest rates caused the stock market to plunge to an 8-month low. The Dow Jones Industrials fell nearly 8 points. On the big board, losers led gainers 5-2. The American Stock Exchange followed suit. The index fell nearly 4 points. Grain futures closed the week on a depressing note. According to the National Grain Market Summary, wheat was unchanged from Thursday's close. Corn was down 7 cents and soybeans were down 10 cents in average per bushel price. Midwest livestock slaughter prices were generally weak today. Cattle, hog, and lamb prices were all steady to lower, and that is the Friday Business Report.
Sears Best Weather Beater Exterior Satin Paint. Now a low $10.99 a gallon. Save $7 if you get it now at Sears.
Mark Twain introduces 2 new $5,000 CDs. This one is the solid 15. In spite of any fluctuation in interest rates, you are guaranteed a solid 15% no matter what. In the history of money market CDs, this 15% rate has been reached only a few times and has fallen back quickly. Why gamble? Get a solid on $5,000 for 47 months with FDIC protection at Mark Twain banks. Offer guaranteed only through August 31st.
Whoa, circle the wagons, because the great Lou Fuse Toyota Truck Roundup is beginning, and they're a massacre in prices on every truck in stock. Right, little buddy?
That's right, partner. Every truck in stock at Lou Fuse Toyota is priced to sell $200 below invoice. You heard right, $200 below invoice. Plus, we will give you a cowboy hat just for test driving any Lou Fuse Toyota.
When you see the deals you'll get on a new Lou Fuse Toyota, you'll take your hat off to them, right?
Even if Lip Quencher had no color at all, it would be my favorite lipstick.
Lip Quencher does more than color your lips. It's created by chapstick, saturated with softeners to moisturize your lips, cream them, and smooth them.
So I'd Lip Quencher, even without colors. But of course Lip Quencher has colors. 30 lip-smacking Lip Quencher colors. Color me Quencher. Your lips can't look this good unless they feel this good.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Community Federal, the blue chip of the savings business.
John Sloan is taking the night off, and here with baseball from Bush and other good things, Christine Buck.
Well, you know, the Cardinals took the night off last night, but I don't think the rest helped. Uh-oh. The baseball Cardinals opened a weekend series with the Los Angeles Dodgers at Busch Stadium tonight. Joaquin Andujar and Jerry Royce were the starters. Let's check out some of that action. It was a fast-paced game from the start for the Dodgers, that is. With 2 out of the first, Dusty Baker singled into right, and that was followed by an effortless home run by Steve Garvey. So after just 1/2 inning of play, the Cards were trailing by a score of 2-0. The Dodgers drove in another run on a wild pitch in the 4th, making it 3-0. And shortly thereafter, Guerrero line drive into right field. That scored Garvey, who was on base, by the way, because of a double. And Guerrero got caught in between bases, but held on long enough for Garvey to score, making it 4-0. And that's how it ended. The Dodgers 4, the Cardinals 0. Close to over 34,000 people attended tonight's game, and tomorrow night they're really anticipating a crowd as Forsch faces rookie sensation Fernando Valenzuela. And in other National League play, let's take a look at the scores. San Francisco 4, the Cubs 3. San Diego at Pittsburgh, that is a doubleheader, and Pittsburgh won the first game 4-2, and they are winning right now in the 4th 2-0. Montreal 4, Atlanta 1, that's a final, and Cincinnati 2-0, that's a final as well. Houston and Philadelphia 3 apiece, that's in the 6th. In the American League, there's a few games on tap tonight. Toronto 5, Chicago 4, that's a final. Kansas City shut out New York 4-0. Detroit 4, Texas 3, that's in the 8th. Minnesota over Milwaukee 4-1 in the 5th. And there are 3 games on the West Coast tonight. Cleveland at California, Baltimore at Oakland, and Boston at Seattle later on. The College Football Association, comprised of 61 of the nation's top collegiate football powers, ignored threats from the NCAA and approved a $180 million contract with NBC today. The agreement is in direct conflict with the $263 million contract the NCAA recently signed with CBS and ABC. The NCAA has threatened to expel any team that goes along with the plan. The schools have until September 10th to reconsider their vote. And Missouri Chancellor Barbara Ewing says that Mizzou voted against that contract. The football Cardinals are in Kansas City tonight. They take on the Chiefs in a preseason game tomorrow night in Arrowhead Stadium. The Big Red have a 2-0 record in exhibition play. Their final preseason contest will be a week from tomorrow night against the Chicago Bears at Busch Stadium. Players at the halfway mark in the Buick Open Golf Classic being played in Michigan. Canadian Dan Halderson carded a 4-under par 68 today. His 134 total puts him 3 shots in front of Isao Aoki and defending champion Peter Jacobsen. And in women's play, veteran Donna Capone holds a 4-shot lead after 2 rounds of the World Championship of Women's Golf in Shaker Heights, Ohio. Capone is at 5 under par 139, while Sally Little is in second place with a 143. And the double at Fairmount Park tonight was number 10, Knight Roman, and number 3, Pat's Native, and they paid just $23.20. And one other sports note, I read today that Frazier wants to make a comeback.
Oh, no.
Following the trend of Muhammad Ali.
My goodness, they should all give it up. We'll be back with a report on the first day in October. Stay with us.
This is a special announcement from Community Federal. Right now, we're offering 16% annual interest. With a $10,000 deposit in this special account, you'll get a gift or $40 cash free. With $5,000 or more, a gift or $20 cash free. Then on October 1st, our blue chip 1-year tax-free certificate is yours automatically. So earn high 16% interest now, tax-free interest later.
At Community Federal Savings and Loans.
Folks can't pass up their Dodge dealer's price comparison clearance. They found Dodge-based sticker prices lower than competitive models.
Now, Dodge and participating dealers fight high interest rates by contributing $300 to $700 back. Keep the cash or apply it to your down payment. Plus, your qualifying dealer has factory incentives that can save you hundreds more on many models.
Deals are popping at the price comparison clearance. Don't let it pass you by. Compare! Go Dodge!
See your participating dealer for full details.
In the beginning, no one got the theory of rotary combines straight. Everyone placed their cylinder at an opposing angle to the crop flow, and it got twisted and tangled. Then rotary gleaner combines set things straight with a transversely mounted cylinder that lets the crop flow naturally. And this natural flow gives you high-capacity harvesting with less grain damage. N-Series rotary gleaner combines. Once you understand how they're different, you'll know why they're better.
I'm Veronica Mizrarini. You will jump with joy when you see the low prices that you get from Steve Mizrarini, Joe Fair, and the Decent Boys of the New Deal, where there's always free coat.
Where's my other roller skate? I can't find it. Remember, the New Deal does not bait and switch. Plus, we have our own factory service. Steve, I found your skate. Oh, thanks, Joe.
Hey, wait for me. Don't be confused.
On sale, all Whirlpool microwave ovens, large capacity with seal-in glass shelf.
First Monday in October concerns the appointment of the first woman to the Supreme Court. The play was first performed in 1975, long before the nomination of Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. Henry Fonda starred in the play during a run at the Kennedy Center in 1977, and finally, the play has become a motion picture. It stars Walter Matthau and Jill Clayburgh, as Lori Walters reports.
The Supreme Court traditionally begins each session on the first Monday in October, hence the title of this movie set against the backdrop of the nation's highest court. Jill Clayburgh portrays a conservative California judge who becomes the first woman appointee to the Supreme Court. Walter Matthau portrays a liberal justice who doesn't object to the new appointee's gender, just her stand on all the issues.
You're beginning to look at people. And when you let a little more humanity into your thinking, you might make a damn good justice. But I won't bet on it.
You're just being sweet to me because I'm a woman.
Walter Matthau gives his latest ornery but lovable characterization. While his performance is quite humorous and certainly entertaining, I can't help but wonder if new dimensions would have been added to this movie had Henry Fonda or even Alan Alda been cast in the role. Jill Clayburgh's portrayal of the first female Supreme Court justice nicely balances new kid-on-the-block shyness and the aggressiveness with which she argues her judicial beliefs. There are also humorous moments behind the scenes at the court in this 3-star film, giving an enjoyable, if not accurate, view of that realm. And while not necessarily stimulating, some interesting discussions are held regarding judicial dilemmas like censorship. All in all, First Monday in October is a light comedy with a talented cast and a timely subject matter. For Newswatch, I'm Laurie Waters.
This might sound awfully chauvinistic, but anything with Walter Matthau has got to be good.
I agree with that.
Okay, closing weather word.
This is going to feel a little bit like a weekend in October. The exceptional weather trend of cool nights and warm days will continue all the way through the weekend. Highs in the low 80s with the low around 60.
Okay, very good. That about wraps up this edition of Newswatch. For the entire Newswatch team, I'm Don Clark.
I'm Christine Buck.
Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good weekend. Good night.
Good morning. This is a news update. Executive members of the Worldwide Federation of Air Traffic Controllers are to meet at a conference in Amsterdam this weekend. The session is expected to result in calls for boycotts in support of their American colleagues. Portuguese controllers who staged a two-day boycott of flights to and from the U.S. this week said they would ask the entire federation not to handle American flights. Labor Secretary Ray Donovan said Friday night that the air traffic controller strike is a tragic situation. Donovan told a Mississippi audience that the Reagan administration is not anti-union. If it were, he said, he would not be a part of it. It was all over in the first inning for the Cardinals when Steve Garvey put his 7th homer of the year into Busch Stadium's left field bleachers. And Ruth made a brilliant performance. Ruth, now 7-3, didn't give up a single walk as he pitched his 7th complete game of the year and allowed only 1 hit over the first 4 2/3 innings. The Dodgers made the final score 4-0 with single runs in the 4th and 6th innings. In other National League plays, San Francisco edged past the Cubs 4-3. San Diego and Pittsburgh played a doubleheader last night, with Pittsburgh beating San Diego 4-2 in the first game and 3-2 in the second. Montreal beat Atlanta by a score of 4-1. Cincinnati shut out New York 2-0. Philadelphia won over Houston 5-4. In American League play, Toronto edged past Chicago 5-4. Kansas City shut out New York by a score of 4-0. Detroit beat Texas 7-4, and Minnesota took the win over Milwaukee 7-6. The forecast calls for more cool, dry weather. The highs will be around 80 with the low around 60 degrees. For Newswatch Update, I'm Vicki Bass reporting. Have a good weekend.
This is your station for better programming on the Operation Primetime Television Network, KPLR-TV, St. Louis.
Notice, Rothman Furniture announces an 11-hour store-wide clearance sale. Tomorrow only, everything's up to 62% off. Because we're overstocked, Rothman is forced to take immediate action and liquidate first-quality name-brand furniture with absolutely no regard for our cost. It will be a bargain hunter's paradise on every item in every department. Save up to 62% at the 11-hour store-wide clearance sale. Tomorrow only at Rothman Furniture, all 3 stores.
Done stuck it, Rick. You struck some other load. Better than that, I've been to St. Louis and joined Uncle Toots's Videotape Club. Uncle Toots has got a gold mine full of movies. Thousands, adding more every day. Never be bored again. Hey, watch this one.
When you think of video, think of Toots.
KPLR-TV, Channel 11 now presents The Last Picture Show. Tonight, Angie Dickinson stars in the suspenseful drama, The Resurrection of Zachary Wheeler.